We could have had so much more fun together.
My brother is a hero. Was a hero. That's what everyone said. Once. After all, he had asthma, and a bad back, and was out of shape, and the cartilage in his left knee was going, and couldn't see his pecker without his glasses on. He still ran back into his burning house to save his wife and son. It didn't matter that a beam fell on his head as he stepped through the door. It didn't matter that none of them made it. The selflessness alone made him a hero. He was so brave, they all said. Then they found the fireproof safe. Not so fireproof. The hinge melted, and the door had fallen off. And they found what was inside. Pictures. Picture after picture after picture after picture after picture of the children. Hands and feet tied, mouths gagged, covered in sweat and piss and excrement. Screaming as the blades fell. Picture after picture after picture after picture after picture of my brother. Naked but for his socks, eyes wild and alive, mouth drooling, covered in sweat and blood and excrement. You think you know someone? I'd whimper. My heart is broken for those children and their families. 47 bodies. 1,410 pieces. Scattered throughout the walls of his basement. None older than 5. He was a monster. I feel so sick. I can never apologize enough for the harm and the trauma he caused. Did his wife know? Did his child know? Their secrets went to their graves. My brother was a hero for 12 hours, but I couldn't bury him. No cemetery would take him. They took his family, begrudgingly, but not him. They gave him back to me in an urn after signing a contract to vow I would never tell people where he was cremated. They should have given me a discount. He'd already been pre-charred. My mother couldn't take it. She couldn't live with the looks, the whispers, the poison that flooded her inbox anymore. She made a decision on an impulse, the police told me. There weren't any skid marks. She drove straight through the barrier and off the bridge. Did she suffer? She was probably unconscious before she hit the water. We're so sorry. Thank you. My wife left me. You remind me too much of him. I know it's not your fault, but I just can't. I understand. She left on a Saturday morning. I threw his ashes in the garbage 12 minutes later. An entire family. Gone. Just like that. The detective asked me if there was ever a sign. Did I know? No. Never. He nodded. I'm so sorry for all the pain this has caused you. I nodded. Thank you. I decided to leave town. There was nothing left there for me anymore. There was nobody who looked exactly like me anymore either. Take us swimming on the first date. Fake lips, fake eyelashes, fake brows, fake complexion, fake curves and fake hair. All that, and no wonder blokes don't trust women nowadays. I ring the doorbell and my date answers, looking just as stunning as when I'd asked her out at the pub. Anthea is a Mediterranean beauty. Dark blonde hair, framing a bandage dress, her olive skin radiant. but that's just how she looks. Me and my mates know looks can be deceiving. The amount of foundation some of these stuck-up birds in our neighbourhood travel on is atrocious. Who gave them the idea that vain cake faces are what guys dig? Everyone always jokes about how if you don't want to wake up next to a 2, you need to take a swimming first. Well, I'm not joking tonight. Where are we heading? Anthea coyly asks from my passenger seat. I hope I'm not overdressed. I reply. I was thinking we could take a walk by the shore, sit on the pier, and just relax. Sure, that sounds like a nice first date. Just no swimming, okay? Typical princess, I think smugly as I nod. What Miss Perfect doesn't know is that I'm actually planning a midnight dip in the sea for her. It'll be the ultimate gag, snapping a video for the group chat of an ice queen melting after I've tossed her off the pier. Tonight was wonderful, Alfie. Anthea swoons to me later that evening, dangling her legs over the jetty. Surreptitiously, I set my phone on the boardwalk to record her climbing out of the ocean. Now it's finally showtime. Interlocking my fingers with hers, I suddenly send the two of us lurching into the water. As I surface, I expect to see running mascara in waterlogged extensions. Indeed, my day's form is beginning to melt away. But what I'm glimpsing is skin shedding into scales, fingers melding into webbed claws. I can only tread water as the woman metamorphosizes into a serpentine monster before my eyes. Whatever illusion this creature had going, seawater has clearly broken it, and Anthea is not happy.
We could have had so much more fun together,
she hisses, incensed.
This is premature.
With that, the sea siren viciously seizes me and drags me underneath the waves, her voice echoing on as water fills my lungs.
I only take men drowning on the last date.
Playing my game. Scanning my surroundings, I made sure that the girl couldn't see me. She was walking slowly, and her face was illuminated by the light from her phone. I leapt at her and clamped a gloved hand over her mouth. I dragged her, kicking and screaming, into the alleyway. I didn't waste time with initial pleasantries or pleas. I quickly withdrew a knife from the waistband of my jeans. I stabbed her quickly in the stomach, and she howled in pain. The tears began to stream down her face. I steadied my nerves. Another stab. More howling and sobbing. You may live, I whispered softly, if you can lose my game. Knock on the doors of this neighborhood and try to get someone to help you. You lose if you get help, but you live and I go to jail. You win and you die. It's all up to them. I gestured at the row of houses behind our little alleyway. I pushed her out into the street as she clutched desperately at her midsection, her blood already beginning to paint the pavement crimson. The girl knocked on the first door and I could see the lights flick off and the curtains shut. Help me, she cried. She could see them pretending not to notice her, some probably brushing off her suffering as a joke. I began to feel a familiar rage boiling inside of me. She began to move to the other houses, knocking and banging on the door, sobbing and screaming for someone to help her. Not a single person answered or even seemed to care. I touched the scar on my face and remembered my own anguished wails as I begged my own father for mercy. I'd known my neighbors had heard, and they'd done nothing. I'd like to think that others would be different, but I kept on losing. I looked out into the street and saw the girl had collapsed by the last house on the cul-de-sac. I walked up to her and looked at her with a gaze of utmost pity. You win. As usual, the local TV station had been the first to respond to my deeds. Today, another community is left in shock as the local prankster, dubbed Handprint, is struck for the third time. The Joker's signature bloody handprint has graced each door in this quiet little neighborhood. No bodies have been recovered, and no reports of suspicious or disruptive activities have been reported to the authorities. People are advised to merely ignore the presence of the prankster, in hopes that they will tire out and leave our peaceful neighborhoods alone. I threw down the remote in a fit of rage at another life wasted, and a new determination surged through my being. I will not let them write me off as an inconvenience. I will not let them rest until I've won my game.